Hello, hello, everyone. Good evening to you all. Thank you so much for being here. I see we have people from all over. I love seeing that. It's North Carolina, Vegas. We even have the Dominican Republic on here. I see Idaho, California, North Carolina. That's awesome. So fun to see where our soul family is. Thanks so much for joining us. We're super excited about the material we're going to present and talk about tonight. And as you know, we have a special presenter to go ahead and discuss that with us. And we're going to be keeping with the theme of doing some spring cleansing. For those of you that watched our Inside Soul episode, you know we had Jennifer Pressimone talk with us earlier in that episode about emotional cleansing with our Soul Essentials aromatherapy line, and tonight we'll be talking more about more of a physical cleansing. And so that being said, I want to dive right in, but first, if you haven't noticed, Lon's not here in the studio with me tonight, but we do want to go ahead and say hi to him still. So Lon, let's see if you're out there.
Hey everybody, welcome to our virtual happy hour. As you can see, I am coming to you remotely. It is my son's 15th birthday and he's playing in a high school baseball game. So I decided to come to watch his game, but I did want to welcome you to our virtual happy hour. And I know we have some great information and some great testimonials that you're really going to enjoy. But I know that the real reason you're here is to hear my dad joke. And so this is it. The other day, I was feeling a little down, a little blue, and Kendall said to me, you know, it could be worse. We could be stuck in a hole with water underground. And hey, I know he means well. And that's our joke for today. Enjoy the program. Back to you, Hope.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lon. I just figured the dad joke wouldn't be the same coming from me, so I really appreciate Lon calling in remotely to do that. And anywho, that being said, we are so excited to jump into the material for tonight, and we have special presenter Holly Bernal here with us. She is a soul specialist and nurse practitioner, and we're so excited for her to be here. Let's go ahead and say hi to Holly. Hi, Holly.
Hi, Hope. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. It's been a little rainy here today, but it's just about clearing up now, so looks like it's worse where Lon's at.
Yeah, it was a little windy where he's at.
A little bit. But anyway, Holly, I don't want to take up too much of your time since I know everybody's really excited to dive into the material you've prepared, so I'm going to go ahead and let you take it away.
Sounds good. All right, guys. So, as Hope had mentioned, my name is Holly Bernal. I know a lot of you that are out there, and a lot of you I'm meeting for the very first time. So welcome, and I'm so glad you're all here. Just a quick little bit about me before I dive into my slides. So as Hope said, I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I actually still work full time. And I am a soul specialist, and I've been with Soul for 3 years. I came to Soul looking for better health like many of us, and I struggled with a lot of the same things many people have struggled with that brought them here. So I had some anxiety and some depression. I had some real bad gut issues, migraines, those kinds of things. And of course, Soul, being as fantastic as it is, has helped me deal with all of those things. But one of the most important things that I have come to find is that doing a seasonal cleanse is super important. So it's spring. We're going to talk about spring cleaning, and it's all about new beginnings. Next slide, please. All right. So sometimes we have just a ton of different ways that we feel physically. We might be experiencing some mood swings. We might feel sluggish and fatigued, maybe a little brain fog going on, breaking out in some, acne or whatever. All of these things could be indicators that it is time for a whole body cleanse. And I love this slide. And the picture on it, I chose it for a reason because it shows all the different seasons. And as I said earlier, I am a big fan of doing a full body cleanse with the change of the seasons. So we're in spring. this is a perfect time to do this. And I literally do this 4 times a year, and I work with my clients to also do the same. I just think it's a great way to kind of clear out the cobwebs and get a fresh start for the season at hand. Next slide, please. All right. So as we take the approach of doing a whole body cleanse, I think it's really important to know what is going on in our system and in our bodies that creates the scenario that this is needed. There are 5 channels of elimination. Many of you guys have seen these before. Many of you may not have, but 5 channels: bowels, urine, so our kidneys, lungs, your lymph nodes, and your skin. And we call this a Bowles approach. But we want to make sure, just like in the picture, that all those channels are flowing and moving along as freely as possible. And we're going to talk a little bit today about what happens when that doesn't occur and why we want to do a cleanse. Next slide, please. All right, so your main filter in your system is your liver. It filters your blood. It takes the waste that it creates when it cleans your blood, creates bile, and then it dumps that into your bowels. When your liver is not functioning at its best capacity for whatever reason, then it causes an issue with that channel, and then waste backs up, your bowels become sluggish. Okay, so keep in mind that liver kind of starts this, right? It's your main filter. Let's move on to the next slide, please. All right, so the bile from the liver is dumped into your bowels. Your bile is a natural laxative, and this is how the majority of toxins are removed from our system. If the liver is not functioning, as I mentioned, the bowels become sluggish. A sluggish bowel equals a backup of toxins. So now we're kind of creating a traffic jam, and those toxins have to be dealt with in a different way. So the next in line would be, next slide, please, your kidneys or urine. So they pick up the slack for the bowels being sluggish. It filters all the toxins not handled by the liver and the bowel. This increases stress on your kidneys, and it makes them tired. When our kidneys are tired, they can't do their job as well. So their job is to filter out some of the toxins, and then it concentrates everything down into a concentrated urine, and we get rid of toxins through our urine. When the kidneys are tired, the urine becomes less concentrated. It's not able to do their job. The bladder fills more frequently, and that equals more frequent urination. So something to think about is, are you getting up a lot in the middle of the night? This could be one reason. Okay, so doing a cleanse can actually help that kind of subside and takes the stress off of the kidneys. Next slide, please. All right, so when your kidneys don't function as well, everything continues to back up. The next step is that your lungs are going to take over. And we detox through our lungs by exhaling the toxins in our breath. So our lungs also sweep airborne particles out of our system. And when they get overworked, you end up with an increase in mucus production. The wasted toxins are then excreted through our mucous membranes, and then we end up with some congestion. So when we start feeling congestion in our chest, in our sinuses, that's because our lungs are becoming overworked in trying to remove toxins from our systems. We can have an increase in lung and sinus infections at that point. Next slide, please. All right, another huge part of our detoxing is through our skin. Your skin is the largest organ of your body, and we remove toxins through our pores, sweat, and our sebaceous glands. Sebaceous glands are our oil glands. Okay, when our skin stresses out and can't deal with the amount of toxins we have in our system, we break out in acne, hives, eczema, psoriasis, you name it, that's kind of where what will happen. So really important to make sure that we're addressing all of those issues. Next slide, please. Okay, your lymph nodes, another great part of our body that helps us detox. It takes the white blood cells that attack viruses and bacteria, collects all of that garbage that comes from the white blood cells taking care of those things. And then the lymph drains into our bloodstreams. And the picture I put here, it shows that the lymph drainage basically mirrors a lot of where the blood flow is, right? They kind of run side by side. So as the lymph is draining, it gets picked right up into that bloodstream. And then we start over. And where do we start over? With our liver. So it actually all works in harmony, right? So if everything is stressed out, you can't get rid of all of that. So now, next slide, please. This is usually where the light bulb comes on. If you have an issue going on with your body that you can't solve, if you start with nourishing your liver, you will begin to see that you can start unclogging and dealing with that backup, and things will start to flow normally again. Next slide, please. So if you're ready to let go of all of those toxins and all of those unnecessary things that you're holding on to, what do we recommend? Generally, we will recommend our 14-day whole body detox. And I love the products that come in this package. They address cleansing the colon, they detoxify the whole body, they nourish the liver, and they assist the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, the spleen, the skin to just purify and dump all those toxins. So I think this is a great place to start. It's super gentle. If you haven't utilized this yet, it is very gentle. You don't need to do any special diets with it, and that's super important because if you look out in like the Amazon world or Google land, and you see all of these different types of cleanses, juice cleanses and colon cleanses and all of these things, they're all very harsh. They also really require you to follow a specific diet, giving up certain things. Now, I won't tell you that if you did an elimination diet along with the cleanse, a mindful elimination diet, working with your specialist or working with your practitioner, you're going to have even better results. But you don't need to necessarily do that to have good results on this. So I love this program. Next slide. All right. So this went a lot faster than I anticipated, but I think you get the gist. Cleansing equals nourishment. We want to make sure that we are nourishing our liver to make sure that it is able to detox your body and filter your blood efficiently. And that way it doesn't tire out the rest of your systems. And each system affects one another. So making sure that we're taking good care of our body by doing a seasonal cleanse is key. All right, and that's all I've got, Hope. So if we want to jump back over to Hope and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. That was really awesome. Speaking for myself, I haven't done a ton of cleanses before, and so you answered a lot of the common questions I feel like there are as to why you would do a cleanse or how you know when it's time to do a cleanse. And I love that you gave that kind of timetable of, well, every season change is kind of a good reminder, like, oh, now it's time to do my cleanse, because it can be really easy to forget, when you live with things for so long, it's like, oh, that's already normal, like, that's fine, I can't really do anything about it. So I love that you gave specific things that are signs to us like, hey, maybe we should be doing a cleanse. And also I saw a few comments in here. People were mentioning that they love taking these products and that they've noticed a real difference in their skin. And I actually hadn't even thought about that in relation with a cleanse. So that's really awesome.
It's really interesting because if I'm starting somebody brand new on Soul, I will get, you get all sorts of things. But one of the things that's really common is that I'll have people say, I started the Bella package and I'm breaking out. I
Mm-hmm.
must be allergic to it. You're not allergic. Your body's finally doing what it's supposed to do, and give it the whole month, and then we'll talk about if you're still breaking out. No doubt by the end of the first month, they're like, my skin's clearing up. I'm like, yep, let's do another month and see if it gets even better. Sure enough, it's going to get even better.
That's awesome. And patience really does pay off. And that also, I feel like, just speaks to how our products and natural products that are of quality work in general, right? Like, there's not, well, actually, our results are shockingly quick in a lot of cases, but anything that's
Hmm.
natural, it shouldn't be just overnight a change, right? Like, your body takes a while
Right.
to get into the situation it's in. And so, of course, it's going to take a while to come out of that situation. And so, consistency, whew, is key. I love that you mentioned that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, anyone, if you have questions, go ahead and note them in the chat. I'll be looking at that. And in the meantime, we have some people that actually have taken this Good Tract cleanse and want to share their experiences because Holly went ahead and talked about why you would take it. And we also want to go ahead and share experiences to what you should be expecting to feel like and what really happens, right? What are the benefits of these cleanses? So let's go ahead and bring on Jamie Coffin. We're super excited to have her. Hi, Jamie.
Hi.
Good to see
Thanks for
you.
having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
sorry, I talked to you a little bit earlier about your story, and you kind of left me with a cliffhanger. So I personally am really excited to hear what you have to say. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'm super excited to share this with you guys because my journey has been quite a long one. So a little bit about me. My name is Jamie Coffin. I've been with Soul for a few years now. Um, my day job is that I am an analytical chemist in the pharmaceutical industry. So, yes, I analyze pharmaceutical drugs for a living. And what had me start looking in the natural path is that quite a few years back, I ended up with thyroid cancer. And after I got over that, I was really looking at how to bring balance into my life. And so I started going natural. My lotions, my shampoos, everything, right? Everything that touched my body because I wanted to make sure that I was living my healthiest life. Besides the health issue that I had before with the cancer, there was one ongoing thing that kept persisting. And this started when I was late elementary school into middle school. I'm in my 40s now, 43. So for about over 20 years, I had this weird skin condition where I would be itching. It's called dermatographia. And when I would itch, I'd just get really, really itchy. And then I would itch, it would present like hives, like I had an allergic reaction to just me itching. And in a warmer climate, it wasn't as bad. I mean, it would show up, it would get red, it would swell, it was embarrassing, it would be on my face, everywhere, wherever I had skin, it would show up. It got worse. So I grew up in Hawaii. And when I moved east, I live in Boston now. When I moved east in the colder weather, it got worse. It got so noticeable that I started wearing longer pants, longer clothes, not just because it's cold, but because my skin would, whenever I would itch, you would see it. And it was concerning to a lot of people because they would be thinking I had severe allergic reactions. So after the whole cancer scare and everything, I was like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. Except it took me a while to find Soul. And when I got introduced to Soul, I started with the 14-day cleanse. And I ramped it up with the help of my specialist, Kristen. And when I finally ramped it up to a certain point, it was amazing. So literally, I took it on like a science experiment. You know, the month before, my skin was so itchy. I was like, okay, this is gonna be it. And what I did was I removed myself from all medication for that skin condition. I don't know if told you what the skin condition is. It's dermatographia. And if you know anything about dermatographia, is that there is no cure for it. Doctors prescribe steroids or allergy meds, which oftentimes when you go off of it, you have a severe reaction where you just can't stop itching. And yeah, it was kind of like that. The other thing that I know as a chemist in the industry is that there's no lifetime. So I was taking Zyrtec. There's no lifetime data on taking a drug for life that's a newer drug. So Zyrtec was a newer drug at the time. And so I realized that I was kind of like being the guinea pig if I continued on it. So this all led to, okay, we're gonna figure this out. So with the help of my specialist, one January, I think it was 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I think. Yeah. Uh, I got off Zyrtec. I started the cleanse. And then by day 3, I woke up and I didn't think about it. Now, this is day 3. It's a 14-day cleanse, right? Day 3, I'm like, huh, okay. Not thinking, hey, there's something unusual. I'm not touching my face. I'm not itching. And I'm not on meds. Um, then the day went on, and I remembered to check because, of course, this was a science experiment. And yeah, I wasn't itching. And it was very, very strange. So I did a test on myself. And the easiest test for somebody with dermatographia is to itch yourself. And when you do that, after a few minutes, it starts getting very, very red, and then it starts swelling. And so my hand got a little pink, but there was no swelling. So for the first time in over 20 years, I actually didn't have an allergic reaction to my own touch or to the wind blowing on the hairs on my skin. It was pretty amazing. And then I was like, okay, this can't be for real, right? So I completed the cleanse. And every day I've been watching, and now it's been a few years, a couple years, and still, same thing. There is no.
Hey, Jamie. So sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you can hear me. We lost sound on you, and it was right at the most exciting part. And I'm like, oh no. I think we're left with another cliffhanger.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There you go. Okay, keep going.
Where did I leave off? Okay, so I'm not sure where I left off, but what I can say is on day 3 of the cleanse, the allergic reaction completely disappeared. And since then, it's been a couple years and it hasn't come back. And the only thing that has it sort of get a little itchy is if I've had a 2-week bender of something that's not good for me, like junk food, like a lot of it. So just get back right on the cleanse, and my body seems to clear itself out, and it's all good to go. So that's kind of my story with the 14-day cleanse with Soul and my journey with dermatographia.
I am blown away, Jamie. I truly was not expecting that when we chatted earlier. I knew you had something awesome to share, but that blew my expectations out of the water. I'm wowed. And so how
Yeah, the cleanse
frequently,
wowed me too.
I'm sure, especially after that long of having that and struggling with that. And so how frequently do you do the cleanse? Is it something you stay on or you just do every few weeks?
Well, now that I have a maintenance, I can do it. I do it about twice a year. But before, I was doing it seasonally
Uh-huh.
because I'm just gonna be in full disclosure. I'm not the greatest eater. I would like to say I am a clean eater, but that would be a lie. So it was 4 times a year just with the seasons. And then as I've continued on Soul products, I've reduced it down to 2.
Wow. Wow, wow. That's So, so awesome. And I love that you have that interesting perspective of coming from science and actually being someone who analyzes pharmaceutical drugs. I did not know that about you. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just get a different perspective.
That's way awesome. Well, thank you so much. I've already seen people commenting, like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. So, thanks so much for taking your time to come on tonight and tell us.
Of course, my pleasure. Anytime.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you so
and
much. Oh,
any
oh
questions
no.
about dermatographia? Oh, I'm sorry. If they have any questions about dermatographia and soul, I'm totally willing to answer any questions afterwards. Just email it to me.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jamie. And if you want to go ahead and comment your email, then they can just see it in that chat, and that way they'll be able to reach out to you. That's super awesome. This is what I love about the Soul family. Everyone's so willing to help each other out. And speaking of people willing to help each other out, we called up Sherelle Miller today because we had another woman ready to give her testimonial, but something came up with her family, which is she wasn't able to. And Sherelle's been with the Soul family for a while, and she just somewhat recently started being active as a specialist again. And I know she works a lot with Good Tract, and so I reached out to her, and she was so awesome as to agree to come on tonight. So I want to go ahead and welcome on Sherelle. Hey, Sherelle.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. Well, I already kind of told them who you are, so if you want to go ahead and elaborate on that and then share a little bit about your experience with this cleanse, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, of course, I'm Cheryl Miller. I've been with Soul for almost 9 years. This May actually will be 9 years. And so when I started, they only had Soul Vital and Cinnamate. So it's been more recent. Actually, last May was the first time I did the 14-day cleanse and fell in love with it. I'm also a massage therapist. And so going through massage therapy school about 15 years ago, we were introduced to different cleanses. And one of the cleanses was like this lemon, fresh squeezed lemon and cayenne pepper. And you don't eat food with it. And even to start it, you flush out your intestines before you even begin this. And I literally would only make it a couple days. And they would encourage it for like 7 days or something crazy like that with no food, just this juice. So what I love about this 14-day cleanse is that it's not harsh on the body. I've done the cleanse twice and get ready to do it for the third time. And both times I've never found myself running to the bathroom. I love that I get to still eat food. I encourage others when they do the cleanse with me to be a little more cautious, I guess mindful of those foods that cause like intolerant issues or sensitivities. And then, I feel like that helps when you are having some intolerant or sensitivity to food. If you can eliminate those while you go through this cleanse, as you slowly introduce those back, you can be a little more aware of what's causing those flare-ups. For me, Jamie, you had awesome testimony. And my skin issues are definitely very minor compared to what you've had. But that was something that I noticed with the 14-day cleanses, my skin clearing up. I've had just different spots on my hand, on my feet, my Achilles tendon on both sides, where it's just almost like a eczema. It's never been diagnosed, but and now really I think it would get worse in the wintertime also. And after I did the 14-day cleanse, I didn't even notice that it went away until I looked down and I was talking to someone and my spot was gone. And it's been gone, it has not come back. And that was last May when I did my first cleanse with this. So my eczema or these dry patches that I've had on my skin have completely gone away and not come back. Also, with the first cleanse, I had been struggling with acne. And after that cleanse, my skin stayed clear for several months. So I thought that was pretty awesome. I'm also, like I said, I've only done it twice. It was in the spring and then in the winter. And here it is spring again. I feel like I'm ready for that again. Some of the other things that And what I'm noticing with myself is just feeling a little sluggish and tired. Every time I've done the cleanse, I notice an increase in my energy. My sleeping is amazing. I sleep amazingly great. Gosh, my joints, I'm an athlete, and so my joints, my body felt good. Inflammation had gone down. Inflammation and bloating had decreased tremendously. I've never really had an issue with my digestive system, but I've brought a lot of friends and family along on the 14-day cleanse, and a lot of feedback I get is just regularity with bowel movements, as well as within the first, the first 3 days, I've had people tell me, I can't believe it's only been 3 days and I feel so good. I can't wait to see how I feel at the end of the 14 days. I love that it's 14 days because I feel like society has taught us that if you want something now, you can have it now. There's a lot of crazy diets out there that are very restrictive and can be very hard on our bodies that people are willing to do because they see results so quickly. I've even had people reach out and ask if there was more of like a 5-day cleanse they could do. And so I do think it's important that it is 14 days. I don't understand what the rush is to cleanse. I've even had some of my clients go a full month. Just really be slow, ease it into it, and take it the full month and feel amazing. I mean, I don't know what else comes to mind at this time, but I love the 14-day cleanse. I love how is the bowl cleanse. I love that it's a bowl cleanse and it's not harsh. Like, it's really a deep cleanse. It doesn't just clean out the intestines. So I mentioned my skin. The other thing I noticed within the first few days is my lungs. I'm very active. And those first few days when I was exercising, I found myself clearing my lungs a lot and coughing. And that was around like the first 2 or 3 days. Then I was coughing up a little bit of phlegm. But once that passed, I can't even tell you how amazing I felt to breathe. When I'd be running, I just felt like I could breathe, that whatever was in my lungs was gone. And so that was something that, being a bowl cleanse, cleaning out the lungs, I definitely felt that. The kidneys, I have kidney issues. In fact, I was very sick in the hospital last summer with a kidney infection. And I did the cleanse once again in December, and I haven't had to return back to any specialist for any kidney issues since August of last year. So I know that addressing, given the support that our body needs with the nourishment that comes from not only the cleanse but the soul products, I know has helped my health and is why I am where I'm at now. My kidney specialist and doctor wanted me to be on an antibiotic basically for the rest of my life to help prevent this kidney infection going as bad as it was. And I denied that and using Soul. Soul is the only thing I'm using to help me to stay healthy.
That's awesome. That is so perfect, Cheryl. I love hearing all those subtle and not so subtle differences. And I love how Holly and you lined it out with that acronym to be able to see. Like, I feel like it helps us be more conscious of like, okay, like what's happening with this part of my body? What's happening with this system? And I love how you mentioned like you didn't even notice that spot on your foot was gone until all of a sudden you looked down one day.
Yeah. And it's still gone.
That is amazing. And something I was going to ask you, because I love how you talked about you had tried like different cleanses before, and I know Holly talked about this, how this cleanse is different because it's more holistic and it's more sustainable, right? We do it for longer, and it's not like you're not eating while you're on it. Like, you are still being your normal self. You're just adding in this cleanse. Is there anything else you recommend to people when you start them on this cleanse? Obviously, they'll drink a lot of water, but anything else that comes to mind?
When I take anyone through the cleanse, definitely ease them into it. We start slower, and because everyone is so different, if someone is detoxing really fast, we might slow things down. Even if we've increased capsules, and then they start feeling like things are getting a little bit, there is some discomfort at times, right? Yeah. And that's okay, but I also, you don't want to be so terrible. So even if we get to a point, we might even step things back. Some of the things that I've recommended, like if there's any blockage in the intestines, sometimes that can cause some cramping. And so I've recommended like a lacrosse ball or some type of a ball to massage the intestines, help with the movement.
Interesting.
There's other great ways to help open up the elimination chain. So like pathways like dry brushing or just like exfoliating your skin. So as you are sweating, that's a way we get rid of toxins instead of keeping them in. Yes, adding, make sure you're drinking plenty of water. I always encourage the probiotic with this as well. And so anytime I put anyone on this cleanse, I also get them on the Probio IQ. I've even done foot detoxes while I'm doing this as well. I mean, just helping with that. I try to be a little more mindful of what I'm eating, even though like it's not restrictive. And I love that. But instead of like going out and having, just getting carried away with like sugary foods or drinks, just being more cautious of that at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense to be trying to clear out the toxins while we're throwing a lot more in at the same time, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, those are really helpful tips, especially for beginners like myself. So I really appreciate that. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. But thanks so much again, Sherelle. You're awesome and so amazing to come on and do this.
No problem. Thanks for reaching out. Happy to be
Thanks.
here.
Awesome. And then we have one final story we'd like to share with you today. Becky Deckelbaum, that last name gets me every time, and I practiced it before this too. But Becky wasn't able to be here with us, but she did send in some pictures and her written testimonial and her experience. So I'd like to go ahead and take a minute to read that to you guys and show it to you. Hers actually also had to do with skin as well. She said, I had hives. Yes, people, hives. Speaking retrospectively, I've determined this was a food-based reaction, and then she shows a picture there. Yikes, that does not look comfortable. And she goes on to say, so as hives begin, they're itchy and you begin to have a raised rash. Of course, I have a toolkit for my health, and I started taking things to calm the itching and relieve the inflammation. Honestly, I was miserable, but persisted with my tried and true remedies. When my airway started to develop hives, I decided to take Benadryl with the support of my doctor. It was nerve-wracking, but thankfully that gave me immediate relief, but that didn't solve the problem. This was evident because when the Benadryl wore off, I would begin itching and the hives would flare up. During this time, I also fasted. Lots of water for flushing my system, also some bone broth. This carried on until a light bulb went off in my old brain. Detox. Get whatever's in, out. I started taking Good Vibration, superb fiber and great tasting, just mixed with water, and Amitox DC. I was already using Vital for its great chlorophyll blend, so that was part of the secret sauce that worked for me. It wasn't until I started with the fiber and the Amitox, great for detoxing and good for liver health, that I got relief. Real relief was not just masking the symptoms. Lots of water, people. You hear me say it, but I'll say it again. Drink that water. I was dealing with hives, but happy to say I'm feeling so much better now. Once I focused on clarifying my system, then my body really could calm down. I love that, Becky. And it's so interesting. I didn't hear these testimonials before the show. And so it's interesting to see how actually skin was such a big part of it for all three of you, and obviously to different degrees. But that's really interesting. I hadn't known that before. And thank you so much again to everyone who's participated in tonight. It has been so wonderful. The best part of this is hearing from you guys, and so I really appreciate it. And before we go, I actually want to talk about one more quick thing. It's for the SoulFit Challenge that we are doing. It's going to be launched April 5th and goes through April 30th. If you haven't heard about it, it's a campaign and challenge we're doing to help people be more conscious of their health and to be able to promote reaching a healthy weight and just feeling better, right? And so, with that being said, I want to go ahead and show you where you can learn more information about that. My mouse is, there we go. So this is our new homepage on our new site, right? And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a tab or a little square right here that says SoulFit Challenge. So if I click that, it takes me to a landing page. And I can, if I want to participate, it's just the 4-week, like I said, starting April 5th, going to April 30th. I can put my information in there, and that way I can receive emails or updates about anything that's going on with this challenge. And it gives a little bit of a description of what is it that we're going to do. And for those of you that haven't looked at any of the starter kits yet, there are these new kits that we've recently launched, actually just a week or two ago. It was on the 9th that we launched them. And there's one that we've withheld. It was the weight loss kit. And so we've withheld that one until March 22nd. That's when we're going to launch it. But if you are a specialist or if you're a member or whoever and want to invite people to do this challenge with you, that's the kit that it'll be based around. And so those are the products that we'll be focusing on. And also that kit is the only kit that comes with a written guide in it as well. And so it's a super awesome guide that we worked with our soul family for quite a bit on to figure out how to exactly teach and guide people through this process, since it's so different for everyone. And so that's something we're really excited about. And going back to this page, if you go ahead and look right here when it asks, what does this challenge involve? These weeks are based on that guide that we wrote and will be included in your weight loss kit. And so week 1 is mindset, week 2 nutrition, week 3 movement, and then week 4 we just focus on continuing on with all of those different things, right? And so it gives you the steps, how to join. There's a Facebook group you can join, the link's right here. And also if you text soul-fit to 21,000, that will put you in the text group for it as well. So like I said, the information's right there. If you need any of it, go ahead, that's where it is. Refer people to it. You can invite people to the group. It's a private group. That's way when people are sharing health information or talking about their personal experiences and struggles on this journey. It's not just open to the public. People tend to feel more comfortable in that situation. And that being said, the last thing is that along those same lines, for our next virtual happy hour, we will be having it on April 20th, and we will be discussing that healthy weight loss, holistic weight loss, coming at it from a healthy approach, right? Since we know there's so many different fads and habits that people tend to take on with the theme of weight loss that honestly sometimes aren't the best for them, right? A lot of times aren't the best for them or aren't sustainable. And so we're going to be discussing that, so you don't want to miss that. It's going to be April 20th at the same time as always, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But that was it. That was all we had for you tonight. I'm so excited, so thankful for everyone that came, and I feel like I've learned a lot, and I hope you have as well. So we'll see you next time.